Omen and the Jet playing together, which I think is a great solution. I mean, that Omen utility, a great enabler for a Jet to get aggressive. Same with the Phoenixes there as well. If these duelists play hand in hand, it can be an aggressive force to deal with, especially A main with those flashes. And I think that is something that is a favor on the defender side, is the Phoenix flashes are a little bit more capable if you use them right than a KO flash. The timing has to be that much more close, that much more precise. But for now, this A aggression isn't going to be a correct read, as that recon bolt is going to spot out basically the entire team over towards B main, towards Garage. The shock darts will further delay the sight hit, but other than that, no real contact made, only that Sova utility wasted in the initial attempt. And now they're kind of left scrambling, kind of left figuring out where they want to go. Looks like the answer for now is a quiet rotation through spawn. Not sure if those duelists, like I said, had pushed up all the way deep into A main, and although they cleared it, they relinquished said control and have instead backed up to the safety of their sites. They're not playing all in, they're not going for it right out of the gate, which is appreciated, and it's taking so much time off of this clock. Already 1 minute gone, and they're basically where they would start at the round start, which is insane here. Yes, they're going to have the KO knife back online for the sight hit, but the KO is going solo here towards Tree, and I'm worried that they might take the one-on-one and lose it to the Omen, which will rob them of all information. Either way, here comes the attack hit, and that prediction has come true, as well as Charles and Xpander finding one more apiece on site, and it is a complete shutout with that 3K from Xpander from Tree for the Flawless. And I mean, I appreciate what the Seekers were trying to cook up there with the over-rotation, with baiting out that Sova utility. Like I said, they only have one initiator, they only have one source of information that was wasted. But, I mean, if you have no information, then you just anchor until you get it. And that's exactly what we saw there. No over-aggression from the duelists, holding their sights hand in hand. And then obviously Xpander there to close things out. And beautifully played, but it is just the first round. So now, coming in is going to be this forced buy. And what's interesting to me is they still are opting, I was going to say for 3, now 2 pistols, while the other 3 are going to be the ones to force up. We have a Judge, we have a Stinger, and we have a Spectre for those 3 IA site holders. So I think it's going to rely a lot heavily on them, and it is the correct read. I mean, look at this fight that they're already taking here. A main, especially off the paranoia, the Judge and the updraft goes in, but they're isolated here. The long-range fights won't go in their favor until Ratchy switching over to the Ghost, and that Stinger will get spiked down, will get it in their favor, and now it's all left on that Lurker, who has somehow made their way into heaven. And although they won't get a weapon upgrade, they're going to hunt down at least the Ghost here. Now, facing off against that Phoenix, who was able to collect the Omen's upgraded Spectre. They're isolated though here. Spikes down, A main. Yes, the 0 point is there, just confirming one individual. They probably hear the torrential wave of players coming in through a tree, and there it is, Charles the Judge to take them down. And although it's not the Flawless we saw during the first round because of that Judge taking some of the longer fights, it's still the second round on the board. Job done. All 3 of those bigger weapons salvaged. And you can even see some upgrades with those players that opted for the Ghost. You can see that solo Vandal from Canavar there, the hero this team might need if they want to convert this bonus round. Versus on the other side, the Seekers, trying to get their first round on the board, is going to have this full buy finally. Although they are pretty far off from most of their ultimates, considering only Freck and Wild have gotten kills on the board. Because of these worst weapons, though, early aggression yet again out of A main. This time, though, Jet's following through all the way here, trying to catch this top mid player or this spawn player off guard. And we'll see if they can win that fight, especially if they peek it with the long angle. Either way, though, B main already cleared out thanks to that recon bolt. And it looks like the execution as well is going to be faked yet again. They send in the Cloudburst as a fake and instead cut noise and rotate back. The question is, look yet again, share less, trying to catch the timing off on Freck. If they go aiming it, I don't know if they're going to clear that gelato corner. They have so much information though. They know all these footsteps are coming towards them, and so even if they fall, you can see the Phoenix is already rotated over, but it might be too late. They get to Gonka is able to stop the bleeding, but the damage is done. The numbers advantage firmly in favor now for Flame Team TR yet again. And Spike, with 45 seconds left, once again not making its way on to a site yet. Recon Bolt back online, at least to confirm no more Lurkers are A main. But the next challenge occurs where you have the Killjoys rotated over, and the Phoenix and Omen have not left the site since the round start.
30 seconds left.
very creative jump peek here from Apache. We'll see if it ends up working. But either way, second layer of utility now coming out in the form of that drone. They think they're going to capitalize on it, but no is what the answer from this Phoenix is. And once again, time is dwindling. The overextension from Expander awards them 1, but they will drop that upgraded weapon. And 10 seconds left. You're playing for picks at this point, and you won't even find them. A third on the round. A beautiful bonus conversion out of Flame Team TR, especially out of Shirles's hero play, cutting off those rotations nonetheless.
Alarm bot out.
Either way, though, jumping now into their own buy round on the side of Flame Team TR. You can see that the Seekers aren't going down without a fight. They're instead of full saving, they're opting for these light shield rifle buys. You can even see the Deagle. Maybe Pedro gonna play for some orb collection, play for a Blade Storm, versus Poca's having that Judge in hand, gonna maybe try and get a lurk or some close pressure through with the Shrouded Step and a dark cover. Either way, first blood once again going in favor of the defenders thanks to this aggression from the duelists. A main. Their Sentinel is gone, leaving their flank vulnerable, but they haven't given up control yet of A main completely. They're still trying to follow through on this attempt. They're still dumping util into taking control of it. And you can see nobody else from this team, nobody else from Flame Team TR is biting just yet. The information utility coming in the form of that Owl drone. Gonna spot out the Phoenix, but no other players spotted on site. They don't know the Killjoy is heaven, and that angle is just too strong. The double peek out, and now, I mean, even if you can't see the players, if you know where head level is, you hit your shots, and it's a second flawless on the board. 4-0, no ultimates being used. I mean, I don't even know if they knew that Shirless hadn't operated that round. That's how clean that A hold was. They didn't rotate into the operator. They didn't know what's lurking behind closed doors. And let's see if that door hits them in the face in a future round when they do discover it, which, looking where, you know, Seekers are headed, it could be right here. We've seen them use we've seen their deagling, we've seen their judging. Let's see Shirless can also do more with the operator. Alrighty though, look at that. The paired way to completely deny the operator angle, but the counter recon bolt is so strong it spots out 3 players. And once again, it's a faked entry into the site off the tailwind. It's just into the corner, trying to pull rotations off the A site, and this time it kind of has worked. 2 players in tree, nobody on the A site, but kind of are receptive to the fact that the KO has pushed up and both players swing at the same time. The mid threat neutralized, but the efforts have come into the site, and somehow the door is opened again. I think that's a mistake. Awarding picks over to Kenabar, quickly bringing the numbers back in their favor, leaving Pedro weight of the world on their shoulders. Yes, they get a 3K, but no point on the round. And they meant to use the run it back, but it's definitely some style points when you're 5-0. That's a statement and a half saying, I don't need this to win. Either way, though, I think Pedro getting that 3K now has the Bladestorm online, so although they're brought down to this quite bare bones pistol buy, they might be able to use that. They might be able to use the information off the neural theft to get their first round on the board in the form of a thrifty. But on the other hand, if you are Flame Team TR, you love where this map is going so far. You have 8-0 on the Phoenix pick, which is what I said would be that kind of that wrench in the plan, not what you normally expect on this map, and it's doing wonders. Just like Shirless with the operator, finally not getting shut down right out the gate, unlike Pedro, who is found by the Killjoy. Quickly though, fighting back, aware that there might be the A main pressure, but losing the gunfight. So numbers advantage further widened, and on a lifeline is Gonkafishi. Doesn't even matter, it's the operator to finish them off. Cage not able to neutralize that threat. And 6-0, they've established their at least a tied half in this first, or this only map, I should say. But they are not done. I can see already still Wallets obviously bustling after this 6-0 lead. And if there's going to be a round where the first point goes in favor of the Seekers, I want to say it would be now. My only reasoning is because they have these powerful ultimates, because they have the Bladestorm, because they have the Null Command, all these great execution tools, which is where it seems like they've been falling short. They've been playing a little bit too defaulted, playing around the map for an opening. They haven't been able to find one. Here it is though. Like I said, the Bladestorm going in A main, guns ablazing, trying to make that opening. And although they will get the Phoenix down to lower HP, they don't find the pick. The utility used to heal and maybe even get them out or play more aggressively here. And they're not even able to find the trade. In the meantime, though, the rest of their team were able to shut down that operator from Charles in Tree. Or sorry, not in Tree. I looked at the wrong player. They were able to shut down a player in Tree. So now suddenly numbers even back up at 3-3. But they still haven't addressed these 2 players on the A site. See now, KO finally joining up with the rest of the team. This is where I would hope to see the Null command come out. It would ensure you don't get hit by these flashes. You don't get hit by a Killjoy utility that could be lurking on the site. But I mean, so far, I don't even want to say the utility uses have been that extreme from Flame Team TR. They're just winning gunfights like Canavar here has just done against Frequent. So no command, no longer a choice. And you have 3 people staring at you, and it's this Killjoy. I mean, putting up numbers very similar to the Phoenix here in that regard. Literally, when Phoenix falls short or can't take a fight, Canavar is there to finish things out. Things starting to look grim. Lead secured for this double duelist composition that you would think would find their success on the attack half, not the defense here. And once again, I don't think any ultimates except for the Blade Storm from Pedro and the Run It Back from the Phoenix have been used yet. Neither finding any real effect in their respective rounds. So I want to see these ultimates come out, and so far nothing. This one way as well is going to afford the first blood yet again to this Phoenix. I cannot wait to see that leaderboard after this game ends, but they are not done hunting here. Once again though, look how aware this Killjoy is of a potential lurk, of a potential player deep into their sight hold. The Judge gonna try and spot out the Phoenix, but will not succeed. Ultimately though, it's traded out. Now the mid lurk's been eliminated as well, so options dwindling, so are the numbers. 2v4. It looks like they're trying to challenge this operator mid off of the flash drive, but they don't expect the close push out from the Expander, and now suddenly they are getting pinched from spawn, and the pinch won't even be needed, as they will just win the fight on their own right. And that is an 8-0 of a statement coming out here for Flame Team TR, saying that we've been with Blue Skirmish all along. We are the ones that are going to own this map, own week 2, even though we were not here for the first. Either way, though, now, if you are Seekers, you have to be thinking, you have to be contemplating what is going so wrong here that you've not been able to get a single round on the board. And it looks like the answer is going to be to try and go for this collective A hit. They know they need to shut down this Phoenix somehow, and they have yet to do so. This time, finally the 0 point was able to catch them off guard, deny any initial utility dumping, to deny the space, but it's still not claimed, and instead is a repivot towards Tree, where the other kind of dominant force is waiting there as well. Expander. I mean, every door they knocked down has been slammed in their face and further executed upon. Now Acute, who's been lurking down below, getting their frags in with a second. And Pedro, 18 HP, is left running for the hills, knows those shot darts would kill them. And they have a deagle. There's nothing to save here, just guns to steal. And they're about to get pinched either way. Acute going for the third, but no, it's Expander to get their own for the flawless 9-0. They want to take a picture on Pissed Around with the camera. That's so cute. That'd be funny. I hope they go through with it. Charles says no. Oh, Frank is like, okay. That's so sad. Either way, I mean, when you're just pretty dominant, you do want to try and have fun like that. After all, that's what these kind of events are for, other than that prize pool on the line at the end of the 4 weeks, which these players are once again fighting for points on said leaderboard. So whoever wins today doesn't win the entire event. Either way, though, obviously on their way to winning, I would say, is Flame Team TR. But finally, you can even see the Phoenix respecting it, saying nice shot, will be shut down for once. The first blood going in favor of Seekers. And they are not done hunting for more kills with the Hunter's Fury. And it will find absolutely nothing. But look, the flag from Gonga finally paying off, catching Expander on the over-aggression, catching them with their knife out. And the neural death's gonna show nobody's on the A site, so that's where the follow-up will come through. My only nerves here is, yes, they have numbers advantage, but look how thinly, how spread out they are across this map. From the shadows to help remedy that, as the Sova also will get the sight, so that worry now receding. But, I mean, if you're Flame Team TR, you've been nursing these ultimates. You haven't had to utilize them. So now the lockdown comes in, and you're forced to run away. You're forced to play aggressive. Pedro braving the storm, and they will get detained, which awards Sherless an easy kill. Nonetheless, the rest of the team comes flooding in. They know where these players have to be. And with that Hunter's Fury being used so early over on Tiles, they can't really stick it here. Operator coming through, trying to quick scope, and it'll work on Papoka at least, but Wild still alive in the 1v2. It's not enough.
Right now. So funny.
Closest round that they have gotten. Still though, going in favor of Flame Team TR, getting their 10th on the board. And I feel like that round, even though they didn't win it, that's where you finally see that growth. You finally see them learning. And I mean, I said it a few rounds ago, the key to success is eliminating that Phoenix early on, and they were first blooded that round, so they weren't that driving force. And then as well, the follow-up from Expander, I think, in addition to finding those keys to success, it does look like Flame Team TR did get a little bit ego-friendly there. I mean, if you're up, now I know I would be too, and it ultimately, I think, was what made that round so close, but then they cash in on those insurance policies, the Blades from the lockdown, and it's no biggie, especially now that you have the run it back online. Once again, though, they're going to challenge this Phoenix here, A main, shutting them down with a 1-for-1 trade, so that ultimate's off the table, and I would say that's a worthy trade. On the other side, though, the Lurk, yet again, coming through. This time it's not the Cypher, though, it is this Omen. Here it is, finally, the execution off Null Command. They've been waiting for this for rounds, I would say. Execution with the Shock Dart and the Flash Drive out. And they will be conceded on the site, minus Expander, who finally swings out Heaven. The Operator as well has arrived to the party. They're trying to get the Resurrection online, but the Sova has something to say about that. A Q will fall, so now that Lurk is the last one standing. As Praki's on the other side of a closed door. And I mean, remaining. You're not getting that Resurrection off, so. Does find one, looking for the second. The close off angle, not gonna find its mark this time. They're not done searching. And it might be a throw around. No! It's Canavar there to secure the team ace, to secure the 11-0, keep that flawless run in the cards, in the possibilities. And they even click the Operator to give back to Sherless. And I mean, Sherless did look like they were, they looked like they were playing a little bit with their food there, dancing around with the Operator. So I think they fully expected to die there and be that bait for the Killjoy. So either way, pretty solid. I don't want to say pretty solid showing considering it's 11-0, but either way, I mean, I'm hoping they can get one here, right? This is the last round before the swap, so they're gonna force anyways. But what's scaring me even more is a cute with this Odin. So either way though, finally, first blood yet again, going in favor of the opposition. But run it back is used to quickly bring things into their favor. Insult injury as well is Canavar spotting out the gun barrel of Papoka and getting that pick as well. So once again, not even being entering onto a site, and they are down players here. And once again, solo fights happening time and time again. This time though, Pedro will win one of said fights, evening the playing field back to a 3-on-3. But Gonga still challenging mid, will have Spike dropped and isolated. And you can already see the response coming in. They're trying to now surround the Spike, trying to ensure it cannot get collected. Acute, having paved the way, completely clearing out A main. And I don't think they know where Wild is. They started out A main, now they're fighting Tiles. They get the weapon upgrade, gets one, but do they expect the second? They're going skin hunting of all things, of all times. And because of that, also they're going for one. It's the skin buff to get the 3K clutch for Wild, get the first round on the board. And I mean, in that situation, that's the best you can do considering it was 11-0. But now that you swap sides to what, in my eyes, should by composition standards be a stronger half for Flame Team TR, you have to win 10 in a row to tie, and you only have a 2-round buffer. So you have no room for error, no room for mistakes. And given that they weren't even able to get a round on the board till the final one, that is a scary prospect. The only other thing, the saving grace here, is the fact that if they don't let that momentum start, if they don't let that economy run away with itself, then they might have a chance to keep the shoe on the right foot, might be able to keep things in their favor here. So, I mean, let's go ahead and see. You can see the Killjoy being the lurker over here for Flame Team TR, while the rest of the team is going to go exploring mid, hand in hand. Nobody really playing with Tiles, and you can see Freak already taking advantage of that. Gets the 1 of 5 dink and is forced to back out now as the dark cover will deny any initial peek, any initial information. But the tree expedition is proving successful. First blood going in favor of Flame Team TR. They are following up on it in a frenzy. Both duelists each finding one, opening this side up, and Expander's lurk as well. Or I should say over aggression to spawn as well. Will put Gonga Fishy in this 1v5. They get one. Can hear one going around, but it's ultimately share less with that upgraded weapon from the kill on generator to get them match point 12-1 here in the quarterfinals. Just like the Valorant announcer says, we are now on match point here, and you can see the guns now being forced. The Vandal, the confidence coming out from the Killjoy, the Guardian from Acute. Jarless, you know, gonna try and get some Deagle Demon action here instead, while the other two opt for a standard Stinger buy. And I mean, if you are Seekers, I am not surprised to see a force coming out from them as well. The Ares, the Spectre, the double Stinger. So let's see if they can do anything with it. I mean, even Flame Team TR is telling Seekers not to give up yet, that they can win this. Flashpoint trying to get things started, and it will, in fact, as well as Wild with that force. Ares finding another. Searching to make sure the weapon buy is worth it. They will also be forced out and caught out on an island by the opposing Sova here. And suddenly, sight is clear for the taking. Rotations starting to come through, but it's a double Stinger. And the alarm bot gives information about one of those players' whereabouts. They're trying to team up, trying to play together. But this Ares that's been upgraded thanks to the force from Wild has been picked up. And suddenly the Classic does trade it back. They know where both of these players are, but the Guardian is peeking. They're trapped in a corner alone with these short-range weapons. And Kenavar, who's been waiting the entire time with that Vandal, is not going to go down without a fight. Time is ticking. They have a Classic. They know there's not much they can do. They're just going to have to go for it. And that's exactly what Aki will do with a style shot to close out the map. 13-1. I mean, they're ending my suffering since I said that it wasn't my favorite map to cast, but they definitely made it interesting, I'll say, with that Phoenix pick, with that double duelist over the double initiator. And I mean, I think they showed why Phoenix can be a pretty solid pick here. So showing that number one, and number two showing why Killjoy is such a dominant force. I mean, I don't even want to say that their utility usage was anything out of the standard. In fact, they relied more on their gun skills than anything here, and that's ultimately what propelled them to this 19-2. In addition, like I said, I was waiting to see the statistic. 5 first bloods from this Phoenix. I am not shocked at all. They were consistently there applying pressure A main, and even when they were placed over on B main, I believe they found a first blood or two. So dominant showing. And if I had to predict now based on this, I would say they're going to win it all, but you never know how Seekers compare to the other teams in this event. Either way, though, we are going to wait for a few of our other games to finish before our coverage continues. So make sure you stick around, and we will be back at the top of the hour for our semifinals coverage. Who will be there? Stick around to find out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Skirmish, week 2 of the August series. Had a little bit of a break as the games were finishing up, but we have our top 4 teams. 2 teams newly competing, at least in the August series. 2 teams returning from week 1, and those teams are 505 Flame Team TR, who we just saw and know are veterans in Blue Skirmish, and then our 2 returning teams are Dancers and Habaxty. And today, now for our semifinals coverage, we will be covering those 2 returning teams and their duel in the semifinals, which will be Dancers versus Habaxty, and it will be going back to Ascent. Now, we just saw Flame Team TR obviously dominate on that map against the Seekers 13-1 with some kind of different off-meta compositions with the introduction of that Phoenix. So I'm interested to see if, we're going to see something similar, something spicy like that, or if we're going to have a difference, or if it's going to be that mirror comp that we're kind of used to that make it a little bit harder to cast, I would say, or a little bit harder to spice up the action that is happening. Either way, I do know that our players are getting ready to jump into things, and I'm going to point some stuff out really fast about these 2 teams. The Dancers were 2nd place last week, so they already have a pretty solid advantage on the board in terms of points, versus Habaxty. They were cut in round 1, so yes, they got the points for competing, but they have a lot of grounds to make up here, and this would be a great start, especially knocking out a team as dominant as this in their run to gather more points so early on. It would definitely put them at a higher footing, start to regain ground going into week 3 as their time draws to a close. Now, though, it is going to be a agent select getting ready here, and it's going to be, so far, I would say, the standard composition coming out from the attackers, coming out from, I believe it's from Habaxty. And now we're going to see some hovers and some also spiciness coming out. It might not be a Phoenix, but we have a Yaru lock from Rhea on the Dancers' side, which is just as insane, I would say, and has just as much outplay potential. Although they're saying they're dodging because of bad comms, so I'm not sure if the Yaru was intentional or not, but they might just be baiting me as a caster. We'll find out. Talking all about hyping up this Yaru, and they might not even want it on their team. SMH. Either way, though, that means we are going to have a reload into the lobby here really fast, it looks like. And we also have to change some lobby settings around as well, it might look like. Either way, though, it does give us more time to talk about these 2 teams. I do remember how dominant and how much of a clutch genius Madara was back when we casted them. Same as, Yida for speed and Mapeasy just being cracked in their own right. So I'm excited to see what the difference maker here is going to be. Either way, though, said we're fiddling with some settings. We're fiddling with getting this game back to the start, back to the action. And I'm personally just very excited to see how things will unfold. As we jump back into Agent Select, we'll probably see Rhea opting for something a little more tame than the Yaru pick, which will be devastating for me as a caster, but it will be expected. I'm only hoping for not a mirror comp. That's all I will hope for here. But so far, I mean, like I said, it's that standard composition on the side of Habaxty, and Dancers look like that's also what they're going for. Rhea, though, kind of trying to debate between that Omen or that Astra pick. Is going to go for that tried and true Omen, though. Goes for that standard. So now Yida for speed, the last hope in not having a mirror comp. But if I'm serves me right, I do remember them playing the Sova back on our coverage of them in week 1. So not surprised to see it come out here. And it does look like it's going to be that, I don't want to say dreaded mirror comp, but it does look like that's what we're headed towards here yet again. And I mean, Peasy's cracked to the Killjoy, so I do not expect anything different. I expect a on-par performance to what we saw from the Killjoy on Flame Team TR as they lock in, as we get ready to jump into this map. Alrighty, though, loading in, getting ready to see what the action's going to bring. You can see here that Habaxty is starting out on the attack side, while the defenders will be those Dancers here. You're trying to put on a show for us yet again, trying to get that higher bracket run so that they can accumulate more points and catch up to the first place team, which was Karan Kursutafia in week 1, who did not opt to play today as well, mind you. So although they're ahead right now, I believe by 10 points on the leaderboard, that lead can quickly start to shrink away if they don't compete. In fact, I mean, it could be practically doubled minus 10 points if first place is claimed by dancers this week. So once again, it's more going to be, defending champs, I would say, considering first place isn't here, versus Habaxi looking to be that Kingslayer, looking to be that disruptor here to stop them from gaining on first place on that leaderboard. Either way, though, jumping into the chaos of things, it looks like it's going to be 3 people A, 2 B, kind of similar to what we've seen on this map, while the efforts instead from the attackers, from Habaxi, are in fact going to go towards this A site. There's more stacked pressure with the Killjoy being that lurker, maybe going to apply some pressure tree late, going to apply some pressure up mid, where for once there isn't any Killjoy utility waiting. You can see that MPZ has opted for the Ghost, so they only have the turret for contact, and it will be on button to try and get that contact up deep mid. Either way, though, once again, starting out pretty slow here. Minus the 0 point going in, and Madara has also made their way off of this contact into Wine, so they'll have to use some utility or a lifeline to clear it out, as that 0 point did not detect them, I don't believe. Zach trying to decide if they want to invest for now, though it is just going to be early orb collection. Minus the Omen, who is lurking a little bit there. Killjoy's been working mid the entire time as well. And it looks like the repivot is going to be into Tree, which, would avoid this trap play from Madara in Wine other than the Omen and Cubby. But they're going to have to deal with a whole nother problem, which is Rhea here, unless they catch them off guard. Now they've made noise. Now they've taken the fight. But they haven't addressed the A main pressure until that Omen has now come through. And they've somehow found Madara as well. That door quickly getting closed will slice and dice their attack efforts. And now Unit for Speed has arrived, and the shock darts are going in to try and deny the plant. It won't quite work, but damage is done. It's going to be a 3v2 now, as Mapeezy brings it back to a 2v2, putting things on even ground. But no real utility exhausted on the site take, so this is where you start seeing that utility come out in the post plant. Crocus uses the recon bolt, uses the double shock dart, uses the wallbang attempts, all to try and bait out these fights, but it's ultimately going to be 1v1s for each player on the side of the dancers, and they will come out on top, getting this first round on the board. Great pivot, great attempt out of Habaxi to get through Tree to dismantle this site hold, especially with that Omen coming up from main to apply that pressure, but ultimately the retake is too strong. They are prepared to take these fights and win them, and it falls short. Either way, great attempt from both teams. Just some gunfights not going in your favor there. And going to this round, it's obviously to be a buy coming out from the dancers here. I am interested to see Mapeezy once again having this pistol buy instead of a fourth weapon, so they might be saving up for that hero rifle going into the next round so they can solo defend a site. Either way, though, what's interesting to me is look at the force coming out from the opposers. Habaxi, 3 Spectres, a Bulldog. They lose this round, not only will they be down 2, but they likely won't be able to convert the third as they'll be forced into a save. And that is insult to injury. Your force being immediately shut down by a Marshall shot from Tree. No spikes. Their spike is down, no smokes in sight. Crocus, though, finally fighting back. Good for not 1, but 2 here. Kind of feigning that this is a Tree hit. Now headed back towards the spike. Now the dark cover has gone out. They're aware that they might peek out of it, though, as the Killjoy has been testing the waters here on B. Try to take that Killjoy out as Madara gets the lurk out, but the second too late as the Jet has already snuck through mid-market, so we'll give them numbers advantage just barely as the Killjoy is on a lifeline here. They'll have to try and play off their contact in order to get a trade here. Trying to now pinch this Jet who is on stairs. 0 point, not going to catch anybody out, but the recon bolt will confirm at least one is CT. Now, 1-for-1 trade with the Sova utility as well. Madara trades their own life away with the fragment, but does confirm the Jet is in fact mid-market. Unit for Speed, though, not too wary of it here. Trying to IC these fights. Garden Wallbangs will connect, but they are running out of time. The Jet playing more as a distractor for the Sova, who will run and gun out, and their force gamble will pay off as a Crocus will go big. Those opening 2 picks and the post-plant follow-up. And I mean, if you're a gamble, you know the risks and you know the rewards, and that is exactly what they are playing for here. So they've disrupted the econ momentum. They've disrupted what the dancers were hopefully vying for here, and you can see because of that, they now have a few rifles. They have these bulldogs, these these specters. Versus it's a full deagle squad. Rhea also with a shorty, Ren's reprising their role on that scout on that Marshall. So let's see what they can do when they are down in the econ situation. Looks like the answer is to progress out of A main, which will be thoroughly punished. First blood once again going in favor of the attackers here, and they've also spotted out what angle Ren's potentially is holding here from Tree. Regardless though, no other picks found just yet. And see Rhea getting ready to play with this utility, with this kit to support the KO. But the real action is on the other side of the map. They eliminate this tree pressure, and now that's another avenue open for the taking. It does look like they don't want a further challenge, knowing the KO is there, knowing the Omen has played there, though. So Spike is, in fact, headed towards B, and the Killjoy, starting to lurk through mid, might even soon leave turret range. Either way, now it's been either called or destroyed. And the site flood will come in, other than the lurk from Crocus, which has also come up all heads there.
Player standing.
An insult to injury as well, rotating back through mid, able to find one more, so it'll be a free sight. And Rhea, who had a shorty, upgrades to a deagle, spots out Crocus, because they don't expect them on A, so that'll be a Guardian for the upgrade for the 4v1. They decide to use it. Question is, do they expect another player here about to peek them mid? The Bulldog, the answer is yes, but ultimately the shots are too fast, and that'll be a second lead quickly taken back into their control on the side of Backseat. Either way, though, now it's going to be this defaulted approach once again, 2B, 2A. They usually have this jet switching between mid, switching between the A side, but now that they have a weapon, I think they're going to be able to find a lot more effort here playing off this alarm bot contact or ego peeking mid. Thing is, though, Crocus has been winning these mid duels time and time again, whether it's Tree, whether it's mid market. So off this recon bolt, I wouldn't be surprised they do the same, especially with the support now from the jet. Dark cover as well, kind of slicing any efforts here, and they'll even get sprayed through the smoke, just too receptive here, which will now basically give mid control over on a silver platter now that all this Killjoy utility especially is getting destroyed. And so far it just looks like momentum is being controlled by Habaxty here. Given all the control they want, they're given all the space that they want. And with that, their decision is to opt for this tree exploration. Sova just now rotating over here, Yijit for speed, not going to get spotted out by that owl drone, but it's still, no information is enough to scare them towards the B site, which is a more certain what could be waiting on the other side, which is that Killjoy utility. The question is, do they expect Ren's waiting on the other side with a Vandal and Pizza? The answer is no. They're only good for one, though, as the trade will come through. Now Yijit for speed, the second layer to this defense, remaining. as well as Mapeezy with the crossfire from sight will completely obliterate that mid-tick attempt to massacre a graveyard in Marketplace. And Revenge, you can see here, left scrambling. Does have Spike at least. They might be able to get post-plant money if the door isn't broken in time, if the forces don't come through. And it is going to be that fragment to stop the plant. 13 seconds left, so they have time to readjust. They have time to take some fights, and that's exactly what they will do. Finding Yijit for speed, looking for a second on Madara, but will fall short as the trade comes through. And once again, we are tied at 2-2. All of this, though, once again, putting things back in more of an even playing field, considering that was a save. So you can see these full rifles coming out, minus the jet on the side of a backstee, opting to use those blade storms here, use those knives. But, I mean, even with that, they have two other powerful ultimates to work with. I mean, we've seen already the impact positioning can have from the Omen on the backstee, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to get some kind of counterplay there. Or Crocus has been just dynamic in their own right without using their utility, so the Hunter Trade could be used for some pressure that Jet can then capitalize upon. But either way, even though they were massacred in mid, that is where it looks like they're exploring yet again. This time learning from their mistakes, using some of that Sova utility to clear out Pizza with the shock dart, faking from pressure into spawn here. Now, backing up slowly but surely. The question is, are they pivoting into tree? If so, do they know that a judge is waiting for them on the other side? A lot of that KO utility, a lot of that Sova utility used on the mid attempt, so it doesn't look like they're going to try to use anything to clear out these angles. They don't even need it, though, here. Even though Ren's able to find one and a third. That Jet has made it through, but it doesn't even matter now. A fourth on the round. They know where the last player is. They want the glory. They want the ace, but it'll be denied quite easily. Putting things in this 2v1 situation where, like I said, that From the Shadows has been online since the round start, and that's exactly what they're going to be cashing in here. Abandoning the spike and tree, headed towards that B site where they expect has also not been guarded because of that fight, because of that pressure in tree. And now the question begins. Do you play this together? Do you expect the rotation over to B? And how do you navigate the retake? I mean, you can see 45 HP, 100 Fury on the mark for a default plant would get the job done. The question is, do they know that that's what's happening? From the Shadow starts to clue them in. The Killjoys starting to rotate over by themselves. And this can grant the 1v1s that this Omen is looking for here. Turret to make initial contact, but like I said, they are going for this aggressive play. They're going for this gamble push. If they don't clear out this corner, this could be devastating here, and that's exactly what they won't do. They both swing, and the shots don't connect. And so much used in that round to come up with nothing, as once again the dancers will pull ahead in the performance. Trying to bait us out, trying to give each other a break here on the defuse a little bit. Giving us some dancey dance action, figuring out who wants the ult orb. Really, it should be the Killjoy. 2 off from their ult. Or they're trying to get a specific time on the clock. Let's see what the time is. Drum roll, please. It is nothing. It's 1.24. Either way, like I said, on the board, once again, lead firmly established. And they didn't even have to use any real ultimates to do that. So it was a great way to convert, great way to win. I would say the first rifle on rifle round we truly had in the game. Now you can see here them deciding how they want to use these already thin wallets on both sides, really. Which it looks like the answer is going to be, once again, Bladestorm's at the ready here. Didn't quite invest them last round, so that's an option. Renz also has them online, but opts to buy the Vandal here, knowing it's a defensive force. They also are going to push up aggressively into Garage here to try and take that control. On the other side, though, both ultimates, like I said, from Habaxi being used to try and establish this tree control. They don't expect the confidence of the paranoia, though, from Rhea, and they will get their way into tree. Although they're shut down, Madara is there to pick up the slack, pick up the frags, and they still walk away with a numbers advantage too. In fact, in the addition, in the positive here. And I don't want to say they've over-rotated, but now that Killjoy is gone, look at the positioning now from Renz. Crocus as well, gonna add the insult injury here by finding Madara. So it's gonna be, I would say, an even falser cover here that they think that they're safe. And here comes the backstab from Renz to close things out. Needed for speed as well, being that solid hold from heaven. So they will lengthen their lead now to 2 rounds. Once again, using no ultimates, so charging up even more with the From the Shadows, with the null command now coming online. So those are insurance policies that you have in your back pocket to cash as needed. And the response from Habaxi is just to try different things. We've seen them hit B main, we've seen them hit mid. I think mid's been their most favorite execution point other than tree. And they're learning, they're adapting quite well so far. That's how they got their first 2 rounds on the board. So let's see what the response is here. So far the answer is a paranoia and a null command to stop the Omen from getting out of dodge. They're hunting them down, but they don't expect Madara backside here on Dice, who's literally sidestepping left and right. Good for 1.5, I'll say, since the KO isn't down yet. But it doesn't matter, the cavalry has arrived. Rhea to be that partner in crime to get a 4-person rifle win walking out of that round. Only the KO, like I said, Madara isolated on Dice to fall. And that is the dominance you want to see if you want to start leading here, especially with these mirror comps, especially knowing what the other team is capable on the opposing side. Only notable thing here now for Habaxi is the fact that, number 1, economy is drained. So they do have these 3 Deagles, these 3 Sheriffs, while Crocus and that Jet are on these top frag, are on these weapon buys. And they have the lockdown as a potential site take tool, which might be why they're bringing it to B, but it also might be why we're having this aggressive push out from the Jet. They know they have the better weapons. They know they can't give up the space in fear of the lockdown. But Habaxi isn't biting. They're falling back deeper into tiles. They're rotating towards tree, where once again, this double stack of Rhea and this KO are waiting. Utility usage is amazing, and knowing they have the better weapons, they are going for it. Flash strike not gonna land on either of them, falling short in the dark cover, but ultimately it's traded out. So numbers advantage actually in favor of a backseat here. Once again though, cold feet addressing the exterior. Damage done though, still now to a 3v2 situation. And they know the rotations are coming through because of the information from Rems. And Mapeasy is there waiting with their utility. The question is, with this much weight on their shoulders, this much expectations, can they hold down the site alone? Especially since Sova is going to A, exploring to ensure that the pressure isn't there, but it's gonna be too late. It's all gonna be on Mapeasy here. They have the timing, they have the hiding hole, but it doesn't quite work. It's a 1-for-1 trade, so now the pressure shifts over to this solo player in the 1v2 situation, and they don't expect that deep presence from the Omen. And finally, Backstreet's able to stop the bleeding a little bit, finally able to get around on the board, like I said, learning from their mistakes, and it was a pseudo thrifty at that. I think ultimately, so far, that hinge that either swings in favor of the dancers or Backseat has been that tree control. When the dynamic duo of Rhea, of, you know, Madara are able to shut it down, that's when they lose the round. Versus on the opposing, you saw there, they actually fell pretty short. Then you can see that A site is completely conceded, and it's hard for those players that have been anchoring B to rotate over so late in the round. I do want to praise, though, the fact that they had some econ built up, so they are going to have full buys, and they have 5 ultimates on the board that they have not had to tap into. On the contrary, though, you can already see now, here they are, getting cash in. 2 now, the Omen and the Sova, countered only by this lockdown that should get destroyed as a response. In addition, the further responses have the rotations coming over. This Jet for support, the KO as well, who has an ultimate if they need to deny. But once again, it's a fake, as look how deep Spike has crept into the A alongside Revenge, who's almost to heaven. This is an oncoming angle you are most likely not gonna clear. Still though, the fight will go in favor of Madara, so A site control now starting to get conceded, and they recognize that this attempt is in fact on the A site. They don't clear out below rafters, so it'll instead be a 1-for-1 trade, but now Spike is down and Crocus is late to the party without a gift. And it's a 1v4. I was gonna say they'll be granted the 1v1, but it's a pops and swing from Nugget for speed that's too much to handle. And they'll pull ahead to 6. Great investment to win ratio, I would say that they used 2 there, so that means they at least have hopefully 1 more in the tank if they need it to keep establishing this lead. Now they have at least, you know, that promise of a 6-6 half. They know that they can sit back a little bit because they won't be walking away with the deficit going into their own attack half, but they want that lead. They want that kind of pressure. They want that dominance. So let's see if they can continue that, especially considering this cycle of economy has now been reset. Backsteve, once again, being pushed into this fragmented buy. Light shield, no shield, specters, all in the mix. The question is, how do you approach it? They've got these pseudo-thirsties before. It looks like they are once again challenging mid here, aggressively challenging Mapeasy, which is a mistake. 1-for-1 trade, and now the cavalry of Madara arriving into CT, challenging their own fragment here to get the timing, and it works. The classic free gun, able to find 1. Now they're able to get the upgrade, and they know that these 2 players are split up. They know that this Jet is on an island CT. The question is, how do they address it? The answer is actually going to be coming from Habaxti here. They dodge, they get out of the way, they get out of sight, and now they have to address the fact that Jet's in their own spawn. It is a 2v2 though. You can see here, I love this response. I love this adjustment coming out from Backstreet. They recognize that most of the pressure is coming from spawn, and they adjust accordingly. They play it together from these angles. Timing, though, is going to grant Yija for speed 1, so now they have the information about where the Omen is. They know that they're heaven, at least. The question is, do they go through tree? Will they go through rafters? And they are running out of time. Recon will confirm exactly what they were hoping for. They get it to half. They get off. They hear the shrouded step. They are playing Ring Around the Rosie. Classic out, Vandal spray, knife out as well, knowing that they can't win this. In a textbook play for time coming out from Backstreet's Omen there. And, I mean, that's just what you call momentum control. I mean, they were able to flip the map completely, use them from the shadows to get out and get into a favorable post-plant situation that they wouldn't have had on the B site, where those forces were fragmented and they were down a player. And it was history from there. I mean, they played it together beautifully, eliminating each exterior push. And now we're back to a 2-round deficit where they quickly are approaching the possibility of tying things up at a 6-6, considering that if they lose this round on the side of Dancers, they might be forced into a little bit of a save round to try and go towards that 7-5. Either way, though, First Blood going to go in favor of Abaxi here, challenging this mid-control dominantly, once again, knowing they had the weapons to back it up this time. Question is, this has happened time and time again, so once again, are the Dancers prepared? Do they have the routines in place? The answer so far is maybe, considering it's a 1-for-1 trade here. Still, as well, numbers even. Out of 3-3, they are going to play this retake. The question is, how do they use this double initiator utility? How do they start clearing the site? And the answer is going to be in the form of the Noel command. And the backstab as well from main out of Rhea. Them not expecting it. They're playing at aggressive stairs positioning. The next layer, though, is this late lurk up market from the opposing KO. Revenge. And it will go huge, finding one. And even providing the crossfire, providing that fodder for the Killjoy to get a 3K to seal the deal, to close out that round, and give them the promise yet again of the 6-6.
Don't waste your firepower.
See here now, like I said, those wallets getting drained, you're forced into light shields, you're forced into guardian buys if you are the Dancers, so it's going to be hard if they want to establish a lead in this first half instead of that 6-6 tied score going into their attack. And I mean, both of these teams have been doing pretty well in terms of taking what the other team is giving them, processing that information, and adjusting accordingly.
Get out of my way.
Question is, who's the Jet Blazestorm will prevail? From this, Hunter Fury trying to apply that pressure into Tree, allowing their own Jet to take the space. In fact, it'll even to kind of dismantle this dynamic duo hold here. The rotations have come through, and they have been replaced by 2 others here on the other side of the dark cover. Revenge, though, completely dismantling that A main pressure that was supposed to be the contingency policy. And it is the Blazestorm from Zixi that's going to clearly come out on top there. And like I said, like I foretold, we tied things up at 6-6. You wipe the slate clean, you go again with the side swapped. And I mean, that's where the joys of a mirror comp is. The composition doesn't really favor the attackers or the defenders, because then it'll favor it for the opposing side as well. And I mean, yes, that means that you can't analyze as well, per se, which team's gonna do better on which side. But I mean, knowing what we know about Dancers, they do enjoy these more collective hits instead of that chaotic approach that Hibachi was more going for. And that's what you see here. 4 people already towards Tiled, not really leaving that lurker. They contemplated leaving Rhea, leaving them over towards A, but instead it does look it's gonna be more of a 5-person hit, maybe 1 going towards mid exploration. But either way, let's see how it pans out. Already, information utility going out here to confirm pressure, confirm how many players are entering into the site. And Ren's trying to follow through on their dual stroll, but it's suppressed, so no information, no utility. And it is a slice and dice on site. Finally, a 2-for-2 trade, so it'll be a 3v3. But the rotations have already come through, and even though they are on an island here, stairs, they are serving it up on a platter there, holding things down, staying alive. And without spikes being planted, they win the duels. And they will reclaim the lead here. Gets the pistol. My question is, I'm not going to hit tab yet, guys. I will in a second, or I'll look at the tab. Is going to be, do we have a force up from Hibachi yet again? They did it last round. They changed the tide. They tied things up at 1-1, unexpectedly disrupting the econ. So now, let's see. They are going to play it safe, finally. They are going to take things seriously. You see here, instead, it's these Deagles. It's this Classic. It's this Marshall, potentially priming them for an operator in the 3rd or 4th round of the half, if they can win this. So I think this is the more responsible buy coming out, but it worked out last half with the gamble. So let's see if it kind of harms them this round. The crossfire awards them 1 upon the entry as the rotations come through, but ultimately these better weapons, especially those Bulldogs, are biting down hard, and it does leave this Killjoy alone. The Deagle, the Dream, waiting for the dark cover to fade, is going to be granted the 1v1, but here's now the pressure from Appeasy coming in from Tree, and the Paranoia will force respect of the positioning here. Although they're able to find 1 off of that low HP line from Rhea, it'll be interesting to see if they can collect the weapon or if they're going to get stormed without it. And there it is, the answer. All utilities now coming through. Yes, they're granted 1 more, but it's not enough. 8-6, the gap widens yet again to 2.
If you're not a good shot today, don't worry. There are other ways.
Now, I wouldn't be afraid yet, especially if you're a Hibachi fan, because, like I said, it's common practice to lose your pistol, you lose the follow-up force, and then your rifle round is where you start coming back. I do want to point out that that wasn't the case last half because of the force coming out from backseat, but either way, this is where you need to win this round or you're in not a great position. My only concern for them is the fact that this has been a commonplace strategy, is the start of not a full bonus anymore. You're starting to see these rifles get purchased up on the third round of the half by the team that wins, like Mapeasy, like Agent for Speed here, and they're using them to challenge mid-control, and they'll come away with 1.5, I would say, looking at how low now the lifeline is on that jet mid, which will weaken the site hold, allowing them the A site to be taken with pretty much ease here. They even spot the open up close, and Rhea's crosshair is true, finding one. Ultimately, though, they're looking for more and overheat, challenging Revenge with the better weapon, so they will lose their life, putting things at an even 3v3 for this retake. And it's interesting that Renz is the first point of contact here, considering they only have the ghost. The jump peek as well will confirm their positioning. And here it is, the tree pressure. Now that they lose two, the better rifles come out on the retake attempt as the crossfires fall apart, and it will be 8-7 now. A lot closer than the 13-1 we saw in our quarterfinals coverage of this map, possibly due to the fact that it is the mirror comps instead of those differing double initiator versus double duelist vibes. So I'm not quite surprised here. So these are two amazing teams, and it shows that even though you might get cut in round one like a Baxty was week one, week two you come back stronger, you come back fighting, and you might even be able to beat the team that was second place in week one. Either way though, let's not get ahead of ourselves. They still are trailing by one. They're back to now rifles on the side of the dancers. This is the round where they can further reinstate their lead, keep that cycle going where they are ahead. And it looks like the solution here is to try and fake a B presence while Spike is instead testing the waters A. What they aren't expecting though is for their entries, for their duelists to get first blooded through the dark cover of all places with those common pre-fire angles. And because of that, they don't have a way to stab in. They don't have a way to get into this B site and are instead left to try and cash in on this A lurk. And they won't be able to clear out wine. And from the shadows get destroyed, insult to injury. It's all on the jet, and they will deliver time and time again. The only benefit of that cancellation from the Omenal is they don't know where Rhea is playing from anymore. The detriment, though, is that Spike is down E main, and you have no way to collect it because you gambled it on the generator. I said they might not know where they are, but after the alarm bot, they definitely do, which will award the pick over to Habaxti, and they will tie things up for us yet again. Either way, though, seeing our first ultimates for the half starting to come out. The null command on the side of the attackers, on the side of dancers, and the lockdown as a retake tool on the side of defenders, on the side of backseat. So let's see if those come into play here and how they will interact, how they will mingle, especially since, you know, it does look like Dancers isn't convinced of the pattern, isn't convinced that their defaulted approach isn't working yet. Spike is in spawn while everybody else is exploring different avenues, especially challenging this early B garage control. I mean, look at all the utility, look at all the wallbang shots with these worst weapons coming out. It doesn't matter though, once again, the lurk has been completely taken off the table as a pursuit avenue. So now, once again, they're left looking for an opening. And so far, they haven't quite found it yet. No fights, no 1v1s being granted except for Revenge. They're going huge in a main. Does look like Rems is in a good spot, but ultimately the Marshal not good enough. As well as the Omen finally denying any mid-crossing over as the dark covers aren't online anymore. And Rhea left again in the 1v unfavorable situation, and the fragment's gonna get that chip damage off as well, trying to deny any recollection of that spike from outside, from grass. And to me it looks like, yeah, a flawless on the board with Crocus finding Rhea, and they will pull ahead into the lead for the second time. Last time they were in the lead was that 1-2 after winning the rifle round off their bonus win, and let's see if they can keep it up, if they can start pulling the tide into their favor, if they can upset the second place Giants from week one. I mean, so far your 3 ultimates, you're winning the economy game both in guns and ultimates, so that puts you in the position to start pulling ahead here, especially considering how stable the defense is. And I said it in the first half, that even though they were the attackers, they were definitely controlling the momentum, controlling where they took their gunfights. And that's exactly what they're doing here on defense. They're corralling and pivoting the opposing side so beautifully, like they're a puppet master. And I mean, they might be the director to the dancer show here, unless Mapeasy can say something about it. Able to find the first blood for the first time in a while in favor here for the attackers. Overextension, though, is going to be punished by Rhea here, trying to get a second, but ultimately it's a 1-for-1 trade. So numbers still in favor of the attackers here, but it could quickly change because the flashpoint comes out. The dodge of a 180 is too clean, and even surprises Mapeasy. They're like, did I just do that? But either way, the damage is done. The site is open. And look how far up this Jet is. Ren's ready to cut out the rotations from the Omen, who they know was playing A based off that Omen contact. They're not even letting them get close to this site right now. They want Jet to get this kill. Wow. Oh, the Omen's having no part of it. Instead, maybe exploring an alternative route. Maybe opting for a save here. Playing for exits. We'll find out soon enough. But what's interesting to me is their economy situation isn't the best, but dancers are still exploring. They're still sashaying their way around this map to look for this last member. And it's definitely an interesting gamble here, especially look at this timing. One-on-one back turned. Now the Killjoy will be able to get the backstab knife out. 4K on the round. Mapeasy finally going huge, living up to the hype that I gave them in the pre-show, knowing that they are capable of it. And although, you know, 5 ultimates now on the board for Habaxi, we know that they weren't too keen on using them last half. So it'll be interesting to see if they use them now that they have all 5 online, versus the Null Command could take all of those options off the table. It does look like, though, we're going to go to a quick little tech pause to troubleshoot something on the side of the dancers, to troubleshoot what might be going wrong in their quote-unquote dance routine. And, I mean, this is a great time to, like I said, you can't really talk about it since it's not a tactical timeout, but you can breathe a little bit, especially if you are, I would say, in my eyes, the dancers. I mean, they've been getting rolled over a little bit. And they finally were able to have a difference maker there from Mapeasy going huge, and they needed to now pinpoint what exactly worked that enabled that different outcome, other than some hero plays, because you can't expect those every single round, time and time again. Even if you have the best players in the game, they're going to have an off round, they're going to have an unlucky angle. I mean, look at the number of times they've been sprayed through smokes from the defenders. Either way, though, like I said, a quick little tech pause. We are back into the action. No need for a break, no need to stall any longer, and I feel like this round is going to be a chaotic one, so keep your eyes peeled to see where these ultimate uses go. For now, though, the action's actually the operator that I talked about they might have been saving up for, finally getting purchased, finally getting invested, but ultimately it won't really find too much influence there quite yet, other than the scare factor, the scare tactic, as their tailwind will expire as well. No real way to get out of dodge if needed. Holding the closest angle to punish any attempt to take mid control out of tiles, and Ren's gonna be the one to bite, but they will miss, and the wall bangs connect, so they're dropped to 24 HP and trapped in a corner. Stormgrenade trying to come in to finish them off, but they have support from their own Sova to destroy it for them. Not once, but twice. That utility rendered useless. What isn't useless, though, is this dynamic double crossfire hold a tree. Frag grenade forcing the Shroud to step out. You can see their control, and it somehow misses. I don't know what happened there, but either way, they are so low here. And the Hunter Fury coming in to add insult to injury will, in fact, connect onto Ren's. So though it is a 3v3, both Jets are a breath away from death. And here comes both of these ultimates to try and lock down, to try and reclaim the lead in favor of the dancers before they fall down. And look at the response from a backstage. They've respected the lockdown, and they are even going to save. They're not even going to try this retake attempt, likely because of how low the Jet is, likely because they feel like they've done enough. I mean, that was quite literally, I believe it was 2, maybe 3 ultimates used out of this team. And they even have the operator online, so they don't want to lose this huge defensive tool. And we've seen it before, and we're going to see it again. The members of the dancers recognizing this and instead going hunting for these remaining members, not wanting them to keep their foot ahead of the economic curve. And I think the most exciting part of this is look how close the Jet is. and they will fall even though the 24 HP is all they needed to get was one body shot. To keep their guns, they keep the chances alive. And I mean, I do question them not playing that retake, other than the fact that it was an operator, other than the fact that the jet was low, considering how many ultimates they had that would have given them that upper hand. They decided to go for it, but also they know how close it is. They know this has been a cat and mouse game, and they're not afraid to push it out by one round if they save their weapons. That way they can not only get around, but they can use their ultimates in a way that guarantees them the round instead of giving them a per chance the round. Either way though, once again, challenging this mid aggressively with the operator. This time they finally will have their shots connect. First blood on the board, looking for more, not quite done, but either way, nonetheless, still pinned in the corner. Yet again, Croc is trying to get them out of this situation using that owl drone, but it's not quite connecting just yet as that Killjoy is now pinned into Sabrosa. Ooh, but it's ultimately double swing A main. The Killjoy abandoning their B site pursuits to hold down tree, to lock down tree. And I mean, look at that. They catch off the awareness. They understand the lurk might be coming through from that KOing garage. And they are taken out of the picture. My only concern here is number one, that the jet with the operator's pinned and they will fall. The other concern is look how far Spike is away. So even if they get this B control, Spike's going to go back to tiles where this Omen now from the shadows has reinforced garage control. And they think they're aware of that. It could be where it's gone, which is why you can now see this pivot back towards A. But they might go right into Killjoy setup. So no matter where they go, unless it's mid control, they are about to get blindsided. Peasy though, patience once again, able to find one. Ultimately though, quickly traded back off that Killjoy utility that I talked about. Time is running out. It's gonna be 15 seconds as the plant comes through, but these players are fragmented.
Spike planted.
I mean, the Killjoy is trying to take the fight, but I wouldn't until the Sova, till Crocus gets here. That's exactly what they're trying to do. But in this race, they are going to run out of time here, potentially. But they are going to invest the lockdown, which is a peculiar choice considering they don't have tree control. Madara swings out, but ultimately the flash is too much even for them to handle. It's all left unused for speed. They line up, but ultimately the guns are won. Lockdown does its job, throwing chaos into the post plant, and they will get their 10th. I mean, this goes to like double OT or something. I think that's going to be a complete swap from the 13-1 we saw, which would be insane. But regardless, back to 10-10. And what's interesting to me is they have recovered the operator as well. So it's going to be continue as a thorn in the side for the dancers here. Question is, do you keep the jet mid? No, you're going to reposition them B main, which is exactly where Spike is headed once again. And we've seen how quickly the utility can come into play, how quickly that ground can be gained or conceded from either team if they hit their shots, if they play their cards right. And like I said, it's a coin toss. So let's see who comes out on top. If they opt to go B main, well, it looks like it all is just more from mid exploration so far. So far, answer, like I said, only to inhabit mid, not going to branch out to any of the extremities, any of the entrances into site themselves, minus now tree. Either way, though, they haven't addressed the player's main yet. That Killjoy utility stalling and shredding the jet. Second player off the bat as well, won't be able to dismantle the hold. So now, that one player relies all on them, and they are doing their job. Catches Rens. Now, they're still trying to go for this plant here. It doesn't even work out because rotations have come through. And now, without the spike, last player's pinned here in Hell. Madara. You might not know that's what they're playing, but they're covering all bases. You can already see Crocus trying to clear out these angles. Even the Shorty now coming in paired with the fragment. That is perfect for getting that through the wall of damage. And once again, they pull forward in the series. And I mean, the only change that I see that was made to start this streak now, this run of 2 rounds to reclaim the lead, is the fact that they did adopt that operator. And I mean, they've been positioning it perfectly. The reads have been on point every single time. Even the rotations put them in optimal angles. So they need a way to counter this jet. They've been shut down once before, but let's see if they can continue to do that. Especially, look at this aggressive angle being held yet again, when instead of challenging mid where the operator rotated to, they're going to challenge the exact angle it's been holding since round start. And it will cost them their Sentinel's life. This suppression as well. Going to be no Blaze Storms for Rens, which will cost them even more now. No ground gain, but 2 lives lost, and they are left quite literally scrambling. But look, this always going to challenge just for a gun upgrade. Somehow the risky maneuver pays off. They'll get out, they'll get the gun, but they're going right back into the Killjoy's den. Finally aware that this is in fact what the utility's been round after round, but that also means they know the Killjoy is likely playing here in this dark cover. Question is, will Rhea challenge it? Will they hold the angle? There's the answer. They are going to challenge. The question is, they know that they're all close and personal. The wallbang's not connecting in time. Right click to the face to finish it off, but they've thrown their life away. And when you are down this many players, you really can't be playing for those one-for-one trades. Now we're back. This 2v4. The retakes being one of the strongest things we've seen. Null Command adding to that strength coming out. Madara once again. Deja vu pinned in hell. And suddenly, it almost is like the spell has been broken. The cycle ends and match point is achieved here for Baxi to rewrite history, to take out this number 2 seed from week 1 of the August series.
Point.
I can buy for you.
Either way, if you are the dancers, your chances, I don't want to say are looking grim, but you don't have the strongest buy. Yes, you can buy some rifles, but you also see some light shields. You also see some bulldog action coming out from you for speed. And those aren't the best tools to get the desired outcome. You need the right tool for the right job, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Coming out from Crocus, bringing the Odin in for the first time to add to this Behold, which would be the correct read. Question is, will the recon bolt land? Will the information come through? They might not even need it. The sprays as well. And look who's trying to punish it. Ren's in. They're challenging the Odin full force and winning. The suppression will get all of the players, but ultimately, like I said, the space has been conceded. They don't have time, and even Revenge acknowledging that frustratingly, waiting for their team to come in for the retake. Second layer of utility now out, and it'll cost Yidra for speed their life with a shorty to the face. So once again, the quick storm in, not providing any time to set themselves up if you are the dancers. They're all forced to play close. They're forced to play off this contact, off the flash, and neither of these picks are coming through. And just like that, it is GG. The Omen closing things out in aggressive fashion here. And I mean, that was, you could not ask for more, I would say, in a semifinals. That gives me grand finals energy. Like I said, the 2 of the only, I would say, 4 returning teams from week 1, and we get that close of a matchup. It just shows that if they come back week 3, not only do they upset Dance just so they can't collect a points bounty, but it does mean that they'll be a contender for the top of that leaderboard in the overall month if they can make it one step further. Either way, though, just that Jet, that Omen on the side of Baxi doing literally all of the work here, being the top of the leaderboard, being those clutch players. I mean, the other thing that stands out to me is, unlike the Phoenix that we saw in the last matchup during the quarterfinals, where they had a standout performance in terms of First Bloods, the First Bloods on the side of Baxi are evenly spread out. I mean, literally here, you have 3-2, 3-3-2 down the leaderboard on their side, versus on the side of Dancers, they had Rens with 4 of them. So they were relying on that duelist versus more of a well-rounded team, which is what you love to see in these kind of events. And I think it'll make them a deadly force that is probably going to get overlooked because of that performance that they had in week 1. Either way, though, that does mean they are advancing. And while I have you all here, we can go ahead and go check how our other matchup went, or see if it's still going on. It does look like I have my answer. So our grand finals matchup after the break will be the resurgence of a Flame Team TR, the veterans of Blue Skirmish, who 13-3'd against 505 in the semifinals to gain their spot. And they will be facing off, as you just saw, against Baxi. Until then, we're going to take a quick break, so get some water, get some rest, and we will be back with that round very quickly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Skirmish, where we are here for our final matchup of the day, the best of one grand finals for week 2 of the August series, where we have our top 2 teams, which is Flame Team TR, the veterans, versus the returnees, Habaxti. We're cut round 1, week 1, looking now to go all the way and take those 100 points on the leaderboard to put themselves into a much favorable position, and I would say probably the lead here on the leaderboard going into week 3. So, I mean, we're taking this to Haven. It was close call that it was almost Ascent again, but finally some difference making. I'm expecting some spicy comps hopefully coming out from Flame Team TR again, bringing the heat. But let's jump into Agent Select to see if that prediction is in fact true, or if we're headed towards a mirror comp with Flame Team TR now taking things a little bit more seriously. So far, that is what it's going to look like. It's going to be this mirror comp coming out here. It'll be interesting to see, you know, Babachi especially stepping away from that Phoenix, and also seeing Share Less. They were on the Jet over on Ascent. So now swapping into the Killjoy role is interesting, especially considering how dominant kind of was on Ascent with it, being, I believe it was 19-2. So I'm hoping that their information gathering, being that solo information initiator, won't be kind of what ties them down and limits their frag potential. On the other side, though, looking at Baxi, looks like they're really stepping into those roles that they were comfortable with on the last map that we saw on Ascent, maintaining everything pretty much at the same level as to what it was here. Only difference, obviously, Revenge swapping over from that info initiator to this more flash initiator on the breach, which just comes with the map pool change. Either way, though, we're just waiting for Sherless to lock in. They're trying to give me the time to speak my mind, I guess, or give their time, the team the time to breathe. But as they lock in, we are going to get into the mix of things where you can see, starting on the defender side, is going to be Flame Team TR versus Habaxi is going to be starting out on that attack. And no matter what, since this is a mirror comp, I will say in my eyes it's going to be attack sided, just because there are 3 sites. Your defense is spread more thin. It's just common Valorant sense. And you do have to figure out how to properly distribute your forces or properly have these defensive reads. And I feel like when we saw Flame Team TR back on Ascent, they really didn't have to read any rotations. They didn't have to really read in to what the team was doing, because they just took these duels and dominated with that 13-1, versus on that very ingrained, that very back and forth periodic cycle that we just saw on Ascent. They definitely had to adjust. They had to learn from their teams. So that does make Habaxi a little bit more developed of an opponent, I would say, in that regard, where they do change things up. They do try to fix the issues that they're coming across pretty early on, and they even aren't afraid to gamble to get those changes on the board, to get them into effect. So I definitely think it's a whole different type of opponent here going to the grand finals, but it could go either way. For now, though, looking into the pistol, can already see that Habaxi is looking like they're going to take an aggressive brass stance here, going to challenge Garage early on. Killjoy Share Less needs to get out of dodge here and play off the alarm bot contact, which looks like it is the plan. Triple util in to the site. Denied, though, temporarily ball default line as the rotations now quickly are coming through. I was gonna say they completely abandoned the A site, but you can see there kind of that recognition that they shouldn't, from kind of our running back into CT, running back into the back site to reinforce the Jet. And it looks like the correct read so far. The Killjoy's been holding down the flank, keeping A open as an option. So now PUBG will have their peak here, will have their deagle shot main. They get a dink off and fall back to the safety of their Sova, who's getting prepared with those lineups to further deny a site entry. Do they know, though, the full pressure is coming in from long with only 1 short? The answer is no. Caught out by themselves. Graffiti is 1, but ultimately the support comes through from backside. It's a 3K from Apache, and they're looking for their 4th. They are full nearsighted, and they will be awarded it. Like I said, it's gonna come down to frags versus adjustments, and so far frags come out on top in favor of Flame Team TR. So let's see if they can keep that momentum up, or look at the buys now. Drum roll, please. Let's see. And it does look like that forced buy for the second round was just a one-off thing from Habaxi being confident enough. For now, though, they are going back to this more standardized pistol buy so that you can buy full rifles on the next. On the other side, once again, I would say a lighter bonus buy than what we were used to. Yes, they have a cute on the Guardian, but everybody else opting for these Marshals or this Ghost so that they can buy rifles in the follow-up round if they don't win here. And I think it's interesting, though. Now, this aggression C-Long, considering they don't have the best long-range weapons, And now that they've destroyed the utility, you have the Omen prepared to aggress off of it, but the breach utility will affect things as long as the cloud burst is in their face, and it does allow the picks now to go back and forth. The attacker's coming out on top, not just with the gun upgrades, but now the plant. Shock Dart trying to make quick work of revenge. It won't quite get the job done, but enough damage is done. 2 players on the brink of death. It might not even matter, though. Everything left once again on this Deagle Demon's shoulder. Only a Marshall, only a Deagle. Still trying to take these fights. Still trying to get a weapon upgrade. Has the blades if they want to go for this hero play. And I think it would be correct if they were calm too. If they were so low. But ultimately, from long, being 5 HP, even the Deagle wallbang is enough to end that prospect. And yet again, a Thrifty to disrupt the economy of the game coming out from the backseat. We saw it back on Ascent when they were on the attack. We've seen it now here. And it's ultimately what puts us now, I would say, into their rifle round where you can see they're not buying into it on the side of Flame Team TR. They're like, okay, we're going to go for a Thrifty of our own then to reset the game in our favor. See here, triple Deagle, double classic, and the blades obviously going to come out here. You can see the full shield investment from Apache and Long already trying to play off of that Sova utility. But I love this counter really early on from, you know, Divine Punishment, from that Omen here. The Dark Cover prevents the updraft main and makes them fall back into sight. The difference is there's been no real follow-up. There's been no real information communicated from that breach short. So they've had the Jet rotate over to play this aggressive mid angle. The information they've gained further confirming that, but they did waste a few knives in the pursuit of that shot. Now that you can see them kind of waiting for an aggressive push out, expecting it, knowing that they're on a buy. But Flame Team TR knows better. They're waiting for Habashi to push into them, to start donating these weapons over upon entry. And so far, they also aren't buying, so we're in a stalemate here. And looks at the final destination they've decided upon might be this A site, which in my eyes is a mistake. You have this breach here ready with the shorty short. You had the blades as well rotated back to back site. My only hope would be that Canavar will be able to have a lineup here for A, but it looks like they are more focused on the B site at the moment. So the question is, when will the powder keg explode? When will the contact be made? And here it is. Fault line forces Bachi to flee, but Acute will get the job done, not just with the shorty, but the weapon upgrade as well coming through to take Divine Punishment. Now the updraft late in the round will afford them 3/4 of a player, and that is all they need. As the worst weapons come in, they hit their shots, like I said, and gain the weapon upgrades. And just like that, the shoes on the other foot, Thrifty reconverted. And they take the lead back yet again. Even look at that. Getting the operator online, round 4. Apache here. Didn't really get to opt too much on the Phoenix. They left it to sure less, so I'm excited to see what they'll be able to do here now, knowing that this is an operator's playground, knowing it is Haven. And it'll be interesting to see, especially considering they're starting here mid, where it looks like a Bucky might be about to peek out window. There it is. I think they got the information on the tail end of that flashpoint. Hard to tell as the utility comes dumping in. They know that the shotgun is up close and personal, and they're able to deal with it, essentially saving Charles's life. Dark Cover now not any further sight control as Spike was literally the delivery service tailwind overnight delivery into that site. And suddenly there's 4 people holding. The sites have been essentially flipped here, almost as if they are defending a post plant of their own. Plenty of time though to repivot, plenty of time to work the map, which is exactly what this Omen is trying to do. Divine Punishment making their way in to CT through this C site, which has been left undependent by the presence. Canavar as well, kind of taking the solo fight, has Revenge pinned in a corner, but no shock darts on the line. So can't really finish them off quite yet. It's more just a thorn in their side, an angle to be watched, and they will relinquish said control for now until they start getting wall banged off of the recon bolt contact. And there it is, like I said, the backstab coming in from that lurk. Paying off. Canavar running low on bullets in the magazine. Might not be able to find the shots that they need. And once again, Thrifty for Thrifty. It's suddenly a 4v1. And if this is what we are in store for, my 13-8 prediction that I had before this game started might be wrong. I mean, every single round minus the pistol has been a Thrifty win. That is insane. That is not how Valorant is supposed to work. I remember in VCT them recently saying like, all right, well, all you need to buy is Deagles, or sorry, in CVH collegiate Valorant. And I mean, I guess that's what you do need to do in your comp game is just buy deagles and go crazy with them, because that's what these teams are doing, and it is working. That operator now collected and given over to their own opera here is actually gonna peek long, gonna try and catch Expander off guard. Let's see if they expect this jump peek angle. Not quite, but it has given them the confidence they need for Divine Punishment to swing and bring that ping, bring that kill, and bring the spike onto the C site. Otherwise uncontested, considering that Killjoy utility was split between Garage and B site hold, so there's nothing they can really use to defensively hold on to this C site. Don't fear though, just quite yet, because it is going to be a 4v5 retake, but they have the Rolling Thunder, they have the From the Shadows counter, and so far they realize that this is what might be coming, which might be why you're seeing this 4-person flee towards site, and Revenge is instead going to be playing as a post plant for their own Rolling Thunder here, so I'm not expecting them to be able to get this defuse in time, as the utility will come out. It's probably going to get traded. Here it is, everybody playing Concuss and Flash Simulator at this point, and look at the backstab in the works once again. Second time off From the Shadows in CT. Tap comes through, but like I said, they're gonna be too late as the paranoia comes in. Kind of are.
Last player standing.
And last one to finish it is Crocus in the safety of long. I think they get a collateral there too, to insult to injury. So the first rifle on rifle round will go in favor of Habaxi, and I was going to think it was just that recognition. I mean, you saw it in the post plant. They had 4 members on site, and as the rotation started coming through from Flame Team TR, they realized, hey, wait a minute. They also have a Rolling Thunder. And so with that, they backed off. They relinquished that control, knowing that they would be able to trade it, and they wouldn't be able to punish Outlong if they were equally stunned. And all that distraction, in the meanwhile, gave the perfect opportunity, the perfect door for punishment over to Divine. And I mean, that's exactly what they need here, and they are taking that momentum in stride, attacking the C site once again, recognizing it's the vulnerable point, since the Killjoy is more worried about other parts of the map control, like Garage. So now once again they are forced to take this 5-on-5 retake with worse weapons this time, the Deagle squad. Now if they win this 50, I would be impressed, but it's not off to a great start so far, as the Sova, as Canavar will fall. Now the first layer of utility denial on CT control will come through. Yes, Apache is able to find one, but they need a lot more to get things continuing. And that gun is nowhere to be recollected, so it is just going to be share less here. 1v4 with the Deagle, trying to at least get one, but they will find nothing. So now that cycle ends for now, as they pull ahead to 2. And I mean, to that rifle on rifle, so might just re-enter it here yet again if Flame Team TR is able to win. Either way though, trying to get some breathing room, trying to figure out what they can change here. And I mean, it doesn't look like there's been too much of a response from Flame Team TR. Same utility, same spread of players, and now you can see once again the playbook so deep for Habaxi, once again changing where they're hitting. They did this last time they had a thrifty buy, and it almost it did work out. So now with rifles, they know they have the confidence to make it work. They've already taken the site, they've already destroyed that EX3 utility. And although Charles will find pressure through that dark cover, it's ultimately the extremities, broad door, A-Link that are finding the most impact, and Charles free weapon, that classic to finish it out and bring things back into their favor, like I said. Either way though, going to the next round, because they kind of escaped that cycle, there should be a buy, padded wallets coming through for a backseat, so we'll have another rifle on rifle, and I think it's going to come down to these ultimates, or it's going to come down to this operator once again. If they hit that site it is positioned on, it can be such a detriment, it can be such a threat. So far the evasions have been on point because they haven't really had a lurk player, but looking at things now, you can see that Omen, that Killjoy, potentially opting to explore towards sea, opting to explore towards grass, which means not only were their forces to be spread thin, but they increase the likelihood, the probability of running into this jet with the operator at some point.
Placing swarm grenade.
For now though, once again, both teams taking it slow, especially on the rifle round. And I think that's something I've appreciated from Habaxi. They don't continually aggress round after round. They switch up their pace, they switch up their momentum, so that they don't know what's expected. They don't know how fast they have to rotate if you are Flame Team TR. So far though, this lack of information has led them to try and go towards the A site, while the extremities, while that Omen and that Killjoy are exploring other avenues as potentials, just in case A doesn't go the way they hoped. Just in case this Owl drone sees something that shoos them away. So far it hasn't, which has given the green light over to Crocus to go further. Brooding, starting to clear out short, but it does look like, considering the success they just had on B, they want to take the spike back there. This utility layer coming in beautifully, but it's not even enough to shut down the operator Jet over on a Link Expander as well, adding insult to injury. Cash though, taking backside firmly, trying to extend the control into C-Link, but as the dark covers fade, so has their window of opportunity, and Spike from Revenge is in a bad spot to try and get back to a safe planting position here. Planet Page is trying to cut noise, which will award them acute as well and award them a safe plant finally. But now the Hunter's Fury comes out, so is it really safe? For now it is, as they get the plant down because of the off default. They still will lose their life as a result, and Bachi, more of an information gatherer, more of a distractor. The rest of their team, Expander, to close things out, to get another round on the board, tie things back up at 4-4, as they'll re-click to the operator, and they will restart the cycle, like I said, of this buy, of this bonus. And I mean, talk about adjustments. I mean, I pointed out that we hadn't really got to see these adjustments coming out from Flame Team TR because they were so dominant back on Ascent 13-1. And I mean, this is flexing the ability. They're like, hey, don't worry, Zobi, we can learn, we can adapt on the fly just as well as Sebaxi was able to against their last matchup against the Dancers. So definitely showing that they're strong in that regard. But I don't want to count, obviously, Flame Team TR out just yet. I mean, they just tied things up. They have some ultimates to work with. And definitely going to be a hand-in-hand game here. As, once again, if your plan stops working, you have been opting for a different plan. But that opted into an off. So they are, in fact, going to get some cold feet for their C execute. And are going to try and test the waters B, maybe A as well. Going back to what's been working. I mean, they have this lockdown online. They can clear out Cubby if they can get into these closer angles. Question is, who are they expecting there? Rotations haven't really come through other than into these A-Link extremities. Question is, how will they disrupt? And the answer actually comes from Crocus. Finding Charles off of a wallbang. The utility not quite going to stall up the plant long enough for the forces to come barreling in without reason. And look at the amount of post-plant utility the attackers have. I mean, you have the Rolling Thunder, you have the Hunter's Fury, you have the Killjoy Mollies, you have the Killjoy Lockdown. And obviously you don't need to play post-plant if you have this extra back sight, holding onto the site all by their lonesome, even with 8 HP. And just like that, acute left in the 1v3. And like I said, the post-plant utility is starting to come through, starting to whittle down. Now that they're able to find 10 HP, they can't survive a shock dart like that, and it doesn't matter if Crocus swings and connects. I mean, they had every ultimate for the post plant there, and they didn't have to use a single one. That's how beautifully that duelist was making a space, how beautifully they were able to hold on to control of that site and get the timings that they needed. And although, I mean, we saw a great attempt coming out from Acute in the late round, it just wasn't enough. So now, once again, lead reclaimed by Baxi. Once again, many ultimates on the board, and I'm just waiting for this bubble to burst, waiting for all these ultimates to come in and give us that blind simulator. For now, though, once again, change. Going more for a C split here, and the reaction from Charles is to try and fall back, try to play post plant, or a retake, sorry, with this lockdown, but the Blaze Storm as well. And this might be the round I was asking for. All the ultimates now starting to come in. They want the lockdown, but look, there was a Hunter's Fury on the other side. Will they use it as a question, or will they trade it with their own lockdown? It doesn't matter. Revenge is taking things into their own hands here, pushing into CT to destroy it, and although they won't, they'll get damage done as Crocus is able to finish off the lockdown. 4v2 though. And I mean, it's history. 5 punishment is a live backside. I mean, insane there. I think Revenge being the hero of that round, ultimately not able to take the Killjoy ultimate out, but kills everybody else who's too focused on defending it, not expecting that pressure, not expecting that attempt to flip the map. And it's what's allowed them to pull ahead yet again. But I mean, we've seen this. I call it a cycle back when they were going 1-1-1-1, but now it's almost a 2-2 cycle if you look at this leaderboard so far. Ever since that 3-round kind of run has been disrupted from Baxi, like that's been Flame Team TR's response. I mean, looking at this buy, it's either going to be Kennevar goes huge, or we finally break that cycle as well, and a run restarts for Habaxi going in third. For now, though, Doesn't look like they've quite followed through on their C hit. They're waiting for these molly lineups to go in for the execution to come through. And here comes the util layer and recall and bolt. Paranoia, all the fault lines in the world, but it's quickly denied by a double martial kill from
Thrifty.
And just like that, in the blink of an eye, the rotations coming through like
Last
lightning.
round in the
And
half.
with the thunder of a Thrifty coming through, that's what I mean about the
Need a
cycle
drop.
repeating itself. And it's put them in a position where they can even things out before the sides swap. Which is insane. I mean, their thrifties from both of these teams have just been outstanding, and it's just come from the reads, it's come from the quick rotations. And I'm hoping that, you know, Habaxi will take that same kind of lesson into their defensive half, because they need to make sure that they maintain the same level of quality of play here on the attack. Thinking it's a fluke, though, they are going to take Spike right back onto the C. This time, though, they don't have a Rolling Thunder to counter the retake attempt that could come through, which is why Acute is playing so reserved here. Lockdown, the only real attempt at keeping the site control here, but it's quite early. Spike not having been planted yet, so even if everybody has to flee here on the side of Flame Team TR, they might have an ability to retake, but look at that, already taken out. One of those killjoys gone. Here's the Rolling Thunder, but it doesn't catch off Revenge, who's alive and fighting. The trades as well coming through from that pressure garage the Killjoys provided since they survived on the edge of the lockdown. So it's all on Acute's shoulders to make sure they tie this half up, but the alarm bolt's invulnerability and the swing from Divine is just too great. And the lead will go in favor of Habaxi here.
I can hold an area pretty well myself. Make sure to cover the angles I can't.
And that is precisely what just happened. If it's the Killjoy, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the precision there, playing off the contact of the of the lockdown, and then fragging back into the site, cutting off kind of that pinch attempt through garage, supporting the rest of their team, and that's what wins these rounds. This is what allowed them to string the 7 that they needed to get this lead. And now, like I said, in my eyes, the attack is more favored, so
Peaks now.
you wanted that, or I would say you needed that extra round on the board in your favor. The question is, will it be enough here? And will they expect this initial aggression coming out? 2 players pushing out grass. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but the Killjoy is not done hunting at a garage. Neither is Zish, unless they're shut down by Expander here. Evening the playing field once again now at the 2-2. They know where the Killjoy was garage. They don't know where the Omen is. So the answer here is to pivot back into the B site, where it is just a matter of gunfights. It's a matter of a pistol round. Now, Canavar trying to follow suit, trying to follow footsteps of Expander into the B site. They're worried, though. They have no information on where this Killjoy could be playing. Hopefully the recon bolt will come up soon, but who knows, as Canavar is the one expected to plant here. And they'll even be granted the one-on-one, which now puts both players in an interesting situation. Spike just being planted, not worried about the time here. And they're in fact going to go all the way, loop around a link. And Sova so far isn't aware of it. Instead nervous about a garage rotation, worried about a grass push. And they're holding the corner, the wrong corner, I will say. And it looks like they are getting ready to clear it. No, they won't. And there it is. The recognition a second too late. And the gap will widen to 8. And I mean, this is feeling like a little bit of deja vu here about what got Habaxi this far. Was they ended Ascent 6-6 and then they started pulling away and ended the cycle pretty early into their second half after they lost the pistol. And this time they've won the pistol. Now they're gonna try and win follow-up. So let's see if Flame Team TR can bring the heat, if they can stop the bleeding here. So far, the answer is that they are gonna try and push it out to the 9th round by buying these 2 deagles, buying these classics, while that classic force up gonna come out from Habaxi. So the question is, we've seen the Thrifties time and time again. Will the Sheriffs do their job yet again, this time in favor of Flame Team TR? So far, the answer is no. Utility does come out for the breach, but the Tailwind out will provide the coverage that they need to hold on to A-Long for now. The second wave of utility does find its victim. The turret actually there to top off the Swarm Grenade shock combo. And it's a 5v4 without Psych even having to be taken. Starting off a good attempt here for the Thrifty, potentially on the side of Flame Team TR. The tailwind there, though, I can't tell if it was supposed to be a fake and they were supposed to hit the wall or if it was just a missed opportunity. But for now, the missed opportunity has turned into another pick,
Right here.
unbeknownst
Right here.
for Expander to take out Crocus. But they're not done. They want to expand to this site. They want to get these gun upgrades, and that might be what punishes them here ultimately. The Breach about to swing Revenge. Good for not 1, but 2. So suddenly that lead has shrunk, and it's going to be a 3-on-3 again. They have the information about where Revenge is, but a Guardian does its job with the 4K. Body shots 65 apiece. You have no shield, and you are gone in 2. That's exactly what has put Sherless now. 35 HP in the 1v2, and only a Deagle. They can get a body shot, but that's not enough when you have a lighter full shield and a Spectre. So, on the brink of disaster, hero play from Revenge brings them back in, keeps them alive, or I wouldn't even say alive, but keeps them in a firm lead. But I will say it's going to be hard for them to win their bonus with only 2 weapons carry over in the form of this Bulldog, of this Guardian. As the rest are going to have to either buy Vandals or going to have to opt for an Operator question. I did not have the third round Operator in the cards, but I will say they've definitely brought power behind it when they've taken it from defenders when they were on attack, so I'm not going to be surprised to see the same kind of thing here again. My only question is why are they playing it Garage? They expect a grass push. It is a full buy coming out from Flame Team TR, so I think this would have been a lot better equipped to long, especially looking at where the spike is headed. It's going to be a fast hit. Dark cover is coming out from both. Omen's here to try and deny, and to try to step into the mix here. As the reinforcements have already arrived, their rotations have already come through, but Kobachi's going nuclear, clearing off the site all on their lonesome 3 to now put the Sova, to put, you know, Crocus in a 1v4 where they're just gonna save. They know this is the lost cause. They know that this was their bonus and that they would be broke after this. Looking at those players, looking at literally 3 of them who have less than $1,000 after buying into this round. And the question now becomes, is Flame Team TR gonna start hunting, or are they gonna take this victory in stride? Or sorry, is Habaxi gonna go hunting and take this victory in my team. Are they gonna go hunt? Is the team gonna go hunting? That's the question. This 4-person expedition now making their way into spawn here, but they are already all the way in heaven, so I don't see them having time unless they ego peek this. Clock ticking away. 5, 4, 3, 2. They'll be granted the fight, but they lose it, and that will be 6-9. But 1 weapon salvaged on the side of the defenders, on the side of Habaxi. And it's interesting to see that they are letting Crocus hold on to it, as Revenge and Divine are forcing back up into this round. While it looks like they're going to try and push out to get an orb for Zaksha online. Like, they're 1 off in the Blaze Storm, that's the expectation here. While it's more going to be utility, obviously, for that Killjoy to hold down the B site in a lesser weapon buy. But I do think it's a wise decision here to try and challenge. But the fault line is what's going to allow them to get this Blaze Storm online off of the Cloud Burst. The response, though, is a Blaze Storm in kind. So we might have a full-out anime battle here, A main, especially if that Algernon makes contact. For now, though, because of it, they are exploring different avenues on the side of Flame Team TR. You can see that drone being sent out mid. You can see those players now testing windows for control, for over-exerting players, for pinch potential. And so far, no information conceded from really either side. The trap play from the flashpoint goes out, but Morris pinned is actually in a corner, forced to retreat off the updraft thanks to that pulse, thanks to that aftershock. Suddenly, so much utility used to maintain or try and aggress into A main, none of it coming up here. So even though it's a 5-on-5, there's 45 seconds left. And the rotation option might be starting to fall through, unless we see that from the shadows, but it does look like it was all a ruse, and they are trying to go towards A, but there are 3 players here, 1 on the flank, and the Killjoy also fully invested into this site. It is gonna be a rough site take, to say the least, but here comes the utility, and that flank has been forced off of the angle. The question now becomes, do they win these duels? Do they flip the map? Do they establish short control? So far the answer is yes, but it's gonna be 1-on-1 trades, leaving Acute in the 1v3, and they cannot deliver, especially with those right-click RNG coming out to get 2, to secure double digits, secure the Rolling Thunder as well, which should propel them even further into an 11 or a 12, considering they have full weapons and they have padded wallets.
Here.
on the opposition though. Because of that save, they do have rifles for Flame Team
Here.
TR. Getting ready to use them. Looks like they are going to in fact bring them back to the C site. The Killjoy utility this time not there actually. This has been an amazing read coming out from Babaxi. They knew that they might go for this C split, so they have this over there for information. They have the smokes. They have the majority of their forces positioned on this C or B execute rotation. And the Killjoy, who's left A, can also kind of provide that backbone support through A-Link if needed. But for now, part of that retake plan, like I said, has fallen short as 2 members will fall. And Divine now left to be the lone C defender. That's enough, though, of a presence to have them execute into the B site, where Cute will be the one to plant. Crocus trying to deny to no avail, trying to hit shots through this dark cover as well. Waiting for their teammate as well to pressure up, to play with them.
Scanning ahead.
Or perhaps just waiting for this Sova utility to come in and confirm positionings. But it's getting nothing. All these players have backed firmly into grass. And although we have this Omen now on the lurk on the flank C side, I don't know if it'll get there with enough time to find effect to get a defuse here. Which might be why you can see Crocus and that Killjoy backing up towards C, maybe opting for a save here. While instead they are sending Divine to go hunting, try and take some of these rifles away from this dominant team so far. Let's see if it works though. Back is turned and they are able to find half. Can they finish off the job though? The answer is no. In fact, they are now being hunted. Hunter becomes the hunted as Pompachi will find the pick. Quickly turned out though, so it is going to be 2 rifles brought away, robbing 1 off of the attackers. And they stopped waiting for now, but it's gonna take a few more rounds of that same action, of that same kind of patience in order to wait out these rotations, in order to bait out the utility coming out from Abaxi. In addition to that though, they've been holding on to this Rolling Thunder on the side of Habaxi, maybe trying to use it as that kind of final nail in the coffin on a match point round, while they have the lockdown as well as a further option. I think, though, from all the sprays, they've read that this is a 4-person stack towards C yet again, which is why, once again, they are opting for a plan B. They are opting for a full rotation towards the A side, which is expecting to be less stacked. The question is, do they expect this Killjoy microwave setup? They know that they favor A long a lot more than they do short, often sending only 1 or maybe an owl drone to clear it out. So they are going to run fully into it, but the swarm grenades are actually early. They don't wait for the alarm bot contact from the utility dumped out of short. And that essentially concedes the site, and the rotations start to come back through over towards the A site. And now retake begins with one of the hardest sites in the game. Lockdown trying to be that tool for it, but it'll get wasted baiting out the post-play Hunter's Fury, so the Rolling Thunder is instead invested. And even with those efforts, the numbers quickly going in favor of the attackers. Spander as well with that from the shadows gets the job done basically. As Crocus is left in a 1v2, they still have post-play utility in the form of the Aftershock and the Swarm Grenades now being whittled away. They recognize there's a crossfire being held, and they get 1. Time has run out. They get the 180 and the pick. Do they have enough time? I don't think so. It's so close to 4K. And they do with 0.08, less than a second on the clock, bringing it as close can get. And I am sorry, but if you are Shareless, you are screaming in the VC etiquette right now for swinging either too deep or not swinging enough in time. And I saw the vision. You were playing for time there, which is the smart thing to do. And being 0.08 seconds off is devastating. So that does put now a 4-round gap on the board. That does put Habaxi in 1 round away from match point, 1 round away from kind of final showdown to get them a win here in their triumphant return to week 2. For now, though, the attempt is going to be a full-out war on the C site. Habaxi will escape with their lives and the Blaze Storm off of that ult orb. Instead, you can see, obviously, the Omen there, Divine falling. There's going to be aggression, though, out of door. Firmly addressed and punished. Even things back out at a 3v3. So Zek's doing their job here. But they aren't done, it looks like. They faked it that they are running back to the comfort of the C site instead of playing in this riskier corner angle. As now, Owl Drone will confirm if they have in fact rotated or if it's another fake out, which in fact it is. So that's that plan now falling short. They'll either have to take a duel or rotate. So far, it looks like they're trying to double down, though, on the fake, knowing that information's been wasted, knowing there isn't another owl drone that can come through. Question is, though, 45 seconds left on the clock. Where do you go if you are Flame Team TR? You've tried Garage, and that's about it so far this round. I mean, you won a duel on C, but you saw that the drone came from
30
Garage as
seconds
well.
left.
Probably window. So you know the Sova's C. You know that the Jet's in Garage. The only thing that you don't know about is where this Killjoy is playing. Now you know that they're at least close to the B side as a fault line will come out to deny any peek. Recon Bolt as well, a beautiful lineup to try and get in the 1v1. But look at that, 15 seconds left, the spike carrier killed. The swing out is stunning as well. And suddenly kind of are left with 10 seconds. Weight of the world on their shoulders to keep the team off a match point. And you can see they know they have the time. And the backstab, they are going to take the fight because Zeksha is. And just like that, match point secured. 12-7, you're one away here, and you have to win 5 rounds if you are Flame Team TR. If you want a chance at winning it all, if you're winning this week and 3 and 4, like you kind of self-proclaimed, you hoped you would. Either way, though,
Right here.
now here it's gonna be this kind of same setup. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I do like the fact that they've given up this garage control because C-Site's what's been kind of rolled recently by Flame Team TR. Otherwise, though, the other kind of reactionary piece, the other difference is that instead of playing further deeper box control, they have pushed up really deep, are trying to challenge this turret, trying to get the wall bang off before they take the fight directly. And because of that kind of slip up, they are forced to concede that control. Don't want to overheat, don't want to give this round over on a silver platter to Flame Team TR. They want to make it challenging. They want to force them to scramble, to default to these plan Bs or Cs after wasting utility on the initial execute. I do also like this adjustment from the Omen, from Divine over on C. They usually push through all the way, this time stopping at Cubby, stopping to try and play around this dark cover that they've now placed. But once again, the repivot coming through from Flame Team TR, looking like they're overcooking things a little bit, trying to explore every possible avenue before deciding what is best, and that best is going to be the B side. We're getting shredded by the Molly of Machi, finally makes it through, but it's isolated from the rest of their team. And here it is. What could be the final showing. First layer is that lockdown to ensure a safe plant, which has fallen short time and time again. No real powerful ultimates to work with on the side of Baxti for a retake. Versus you have the insurance policy here from the Rolling Thunder. The question is, we've seen this backstab time and time again from Divine. Will they do it again? No! Cannonball shuts it down. Numbers in advantage of the post planters, in advantage of the attackers, Flame Team TR, but they are coming through here, isolating fights left and right. The insurance policy has been cashed. The Rolling Thunder taking up the close and personal fight, and it's a 1v3. Acute left with the weight of the world on their shoulders, and it is not enough time in their favor this time around. Not even remotely close to the clutch we saw out of Crocus. And just like that, from cut round 1 in week 1 to the top of the leaderboard in week 2, Baxti are your winners of week 2 of the August Blue Skirmish series. And I mean, I think that really was just the attack getting shut down time and time again. They controlled. I talked about this on their Ascent game. Even though the game was so close, it felt like Habaxi was so prepared, so optimal in controlling the momentum no matter what side they were on, whether it was reading rotations, whether it was forcing out in the right locations at the right times. And that's exactly what it looked like was happening in this game on Haven. Even with their defenses spread out so fluidly, just the adjustments they were making left, you saw it. Flame Team TR quite literally scrambling. They would test one side, get shut out. They would test another, get shut out. All that time, their utility would be whittled thin, and when they finally got a plant down, it was either immediately flooded into by the opposition, or it was completely denied the plant in the first place. And I think that's exactly what Flame Team TR is gonna take away from this, is that they can't be so wishy-washy. They can't really know where to go unless they commit to it. So that's my, I guess, advice to kind of Flame Team TR is they need to be a little bit more confident because they have the gun skills to back it up. They wouldn't have been able to get a 13-1 on Ascent if they didn't. And it just looked like a completely different team here over on Haven. Either way, though, that does mean we will see you next week for week 3, where we will be able to see the updated leaderboard standing to see if we have more returning teams, if we see, the resurgence of Karan Kursu to reclaim their lead, or if, Baxty will come back for a 3 out of 3 rounds to further extend this leaderboard run. Either way, though, like I said, in the background we've had observing today, obviously, the amazing FaZe, Ivan Zobi, your solo caster, host, and analyst, and we will see you in week 3.